Hello, friends. Today we're gonna watch DuBu again, play Undying again. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this because I don't know if it's boring to see the same hero repeatedly, same player. But I decided to do it anyways because this is actually what I would do if I was trying to learn Undying, which I kind of am here. Um, the last video we did, we had some questions still. Like we learned some stuff, but is Meteor Hammer always going to be good? He played really aggressively against two melee offlane heroes, but what if it's not that case? Like, what does he do then? So I felt like I had those questions, so I was gonna watch these games anyways, and I felt like I should incorporate that into the video. So we'll do 3 games total. The one we just did, this game where he plays against 2 ranged heroes. I'm guessing it's probably Nature's Prophet and Lion in the offlane, and he wins this game. And then we'll cover one more that he lost. He played these 2 games yesterday. So if we look at the scoreboard real quick, let's get into it. His items, very different this game. So he has treads, that's pretty surprising to me. It's not common for most supports to get power treads. So I'm very curious to see why he might have gotten that. He got a Crimson Guard, which kind of does make sense to me because you're against a PL, you're against a Nature's Prophet who can summon treants. So I could see that being useful as a support item. He chose not to get a 4 staff. So we see Nature's Prophet here, and we talked about how 4 staff is usually very good against that. But if you look at his heroes on his team, AM has Blink to get out, but he also has a Battle Fury. Invoker, I'm actually surprised. Invoker has a Quelling Blade, so I guess he has a way to get out. I was going to say Invoker can get stuck, but with a Quelling Blade, he won't. Mirana has a way to leap out, and she got a 4 staff. And Tiny can actually pick up a tree. He also got a Blink. So, he doesn't really need it to save his team. So I can see why he didn't feel the need to get a 4 staff, especially because Mirana got one. And if we think about the others, I know we haven't finished all the videos on all the different items, but, Ghost Scepter, all of those. Glimmer Cape, not fully necessary this game. I could see some value in a Glimmer Cape, but the main guy you have to protect is AM, who has natural magic resistance. So you don't quite need it. Plus, you have Invis on your team already. You have Invoker and Mirana. So because of that, that opens him up into some, like, okay, what are some other items I can get? And I think that's where he ended up picking the Crimson Guard. Especially because it looks like Tiny was the offlaner, and Tiny wants some damage items. So you still need some team items for your group. Or maybe it's Invoker off. Tiny seems pretty rich. Maybe Tiny was the mid. We're going to find out. Let's take a look at skill build real quick. Looks like it's the same as last time. So start with Decay, 2 in Soul Rip, Tombstone, max Soul Rip, getting your ult at 6, then you max Tombstone, skipping the level 10 talent until the next one. He has the same talents as before. All right, so, oops, not play Dota. Let's get into it. Let's see what we're going to learn today. I'm pretty curious. The main thing I want to get out of this is to see how he approaches a double ranged lane, because Undying is really good against strength melee heroes, and these are 2 intelligence ranged heroes. So that's going to result in a bit of a different playstyle, I would assume. We'll only know after this. So we already see some difference in his itemization. So if I recall, last time he got 2 sets of tangos, a stick, and like 3 mangoes, something like that. But this time, he's chosen to get, I wonder, did Mirana share? Who's the mid? So he only shared 1 tango this time, possibly because Invoker with Quas has a lot of regen. So maybe he decided, I'm only going to share 1 tango and Quas will be enough. Or maybe he's depending on his other support to share 1. I don't know if that was communicated or not. But because of that, he only bought 1 set of tangos and has 2 tangos remaining. Still starts with a stick. That makes a little more sense to me this time because Lion can steal your mana and he'll cast a decent amount of spells. Nature's Prophet as well will be casting treants fairly frequently. So I can sort of see a bit more reason to it. I personally still wouldn't have started one, so that's why I'm like really curious. And I said we were only going to watch DuBu, but maybe for the 3rd game we'll actually watch someone else play Undying to see if they also start stick. Or maybe we'll just look at like Dota buff to see what other people do. I don't know. But it's definitely making me rethink what I think of stick. reevaluating it. He's got his ward again. His mid, yeah, mid has the other ward. Holy crap! How long are they going to be paused for? I mean, we're just talking about items anyways, but still. Okay, and then the Ring of Protection is the main thing I want to point out being different. So when you're a melee hero versus another melee hero, you probably hit each other about the same amount of times. Maybe you get a free auto attack in here and there, but then they also probably do. So at the end of the day, you know, if you hit him 10 times, let's say the Earthshaker from last game, if you hit the Earthshaker about 10 times, he probably hits you about 10 times. You know, maybe it's like 10 to 9. Let's take a look at that. This is pretty interesting. He's choosing to block the camp. This is something I've wondered where it's like, is it worth using the ward to block a camp and then putting it here where you're not really getting useful vision, but this is the least likely spot to get dewarded? Looks like DuBu thinks it's worth it. And against a Nature's Prophet, I can see why, because Nature's Prophet is very good at making use of this hard camp, because with the Treants, he can farm it well, and he can defend it well, so that it's hard for you guys to come and contest. But anyways, let's finish the point about Ring of Protection. So with the melee heroes, you trade about the same. At this point, I'll also throw out, this is why, if I were to play at a lower MMR, or like any high-level player play at a lower MMR, this is how you can win games you're not supposed to very easily, is because like people don't know how to trade effectively. And so it's supposed to be like 10 hits for 10 hits on melee heroes. But instead, I'll be able to get like 10 hits and they only get in like 5. So that already puts me at a huge advantage in terms of the lane. I've done like 250 more damage to them than they've done to me, and all it took me was auto attacks. But when it comes to a ranged versus melee matchup, it gets very skewed. These numbers are totally made up, by the way, like how many times you hit each other. That's just like the general feeling I have. Where the ranged heroes get to hit the melee heroes for free a bit more because of that advantage in range. So a ranged hero might go like 10 hits, and the melee hero might get like 5 hits. And it'll depend on the heroes, but you inherently take more damage as a melee hero. And so that's why I like this Ring of Protection a lot, because he's against 2 ranged heroes. Nature's Prophet, who is particularly known for his right-click harass. And so this will let him sustain through that a little bit better. And then he has a salve to heal up, because I think he is going to take a bit more damage this game. Sip my soda. Let's actually go to just his perspective. So it looks like they're drawing the line. He doesn't... Oops, we're on free camera. My bad. He doesn't want to contest this, which I think is fair. It's pretty difficult to contest against a Nature's Prophet. Even as an Undying, who is like very good at this kind of stuff, I think against Undying, or I'm sorry, against Nature's Prophet, you just don't really want to do it. He's running this way. It's going to take a bit more time, but he's less likely to take free hits from the Lion. Yep. See? So like, you have 1 free hit from Lion, you know? And he doesn't get to hit back because he's a melee hero. If he turns around to fight, now we're at 2. Could have been 2, but he missed it because it was uphill. That's just kind of the nature of ranged versus melee. You get these free auto attacks in. Chooses to spend his initial money on clarities, 1 clarity and 1 mango, and has a couple other queued up. Hasn't brought them out yet, though, so maybe he's waiting to get 2, maybe even all 3. Still playing pretty aggressively. Let's slow down. Pop salve pretty early, even though he has decay going. But he's still going to get mostly healed anyway, so seems fine. He did end up calling the courier, so he has 2 mangoes and a clarity on it. I don't think he can actually make this. Oh, he's going to use decay. So he thinks it's worth it. He was trying to do... I don't know what he was trying to do. If he was only trying to get half or he wanted all 3. But we did see him do a half pull yesterday. So we at least know he wasn't trying to get the full camp because he purposely waited here instead of dragging it all the way in. And he would have missed this pull unless he used the spell. And so he feels like this first pull is really important, and it's worth committing 70 mana and a 10-second cooldown on a hero that really doesn't have... Actually, Undying does have a decent amount of mana for a strength hero. But still, it's a commitment to use the spell to do a pull. And fortunately, this spell actually doesn't do a lot of damage to like neutral creeps. So he doesn't like destroy the camp wave. Like if you were Alina and you used Q to pull the wave, the camp's like half dead. But Undying can do this, and he barely touches it, but he's able to aggro it from further away. Kind of just ignoring the lion, trying to keep them attacking him because lion's trying to disrupt this pull. And so you see what I'm talking about? See how many free hits lion is getting off on Undying? Yeah, the creeps are hitting lion, but in terms of the hero interactions, lion's just able to get a lot of free attacks off. Ooh, close. Doesn't even bother dealing with this. It's just walking over here, I guess. Just gonna use this again because this creep would have lost aggro by that point. Again, not sure if he was going for the full thing or intentionally wants part of the wave. I personally think only getting part of the wave is really good here. If you don't know why, check out our video on pulling, and I think I explain it there. But essentially, it gives AM some creeps to tank for him so that he can't get dove by this Nature's Prophet, but you're still getting the benefits of pulling. Nature's Prophet TPing home. I'm going to assume he's got teleport level 2, and he's just going to use it to come back. Make sure to get the range creep. Looking to get this deny right here. Double decay. So he's not playing as... I say that as he starts to come in. But last time, he wasn't doing a lot of pulls, and he was constantly in this area looking for decays and trading auto attacks, even though he was like really low sometimes, and like that scared me, you know. I would have played way more passively and possibly not have been as effective. Definitely not have been effective as DuBu. But this time, in the ranged lane, he did a lot more pulling so far. So, like, at this point, I don't think he had even pulled once in the other game. But this time he has. And it's also interesting to me that he chose to block this camp. I don't think he did that against Axe and Earthshaker. And Axe is a hero that's actually kind of good at doing these camps. But it seems like, if I had to guess, he feels he could contest that better as an Undying versus 2 strength heroes than as an Undying versus 2 ranged heroes, one of which is Nature's Prophet, who's very good at this sort of thing. So he felt it was worth blocking the camp, and then he also felt like I need to do a lot more pulls using the small camp. So he's done like, I think he's gone through 2 camps. Maybe it was just 1 camp. But he's like pulled several waves into it. I missed that. When did he get these tangos? I wasn't paying attention to that. Okay, just right here. Okay, I hadn't missed that much. Chooses to buy a lot more mangoes again. How many did he have right before this? Oh, so he still only had 2. So he ends up buying his 3rd mango and another set of tangos. Yeah. Is the stick worth it? I guess technically it's some free regen, but I don't know. I mean, he still had a decent amount of regen besides the stick. So what really triggers me is when people don't get a lot of regen and they're depending on the stick. I think that's bad. But DuBu is buying a solid amount of regen. Like, at this point, he is at 2 sets of tangos. He had the salve. He's bought 3 mangoes and a clarity. So he was still covered on regen. And then the stick seems to have acted as extra regen. He wasn't trying to replace the regen he needed with the stick. He was using the stick as extra. That's how I see it anyways. Uses the mango to heal AM before leaving. He's going to stack this, I would guess. Yep. Definitely a lot more stacking and pulling in a lane that looks tough. He's cutting this tree because he knows Lion is trying to interrupt his pulls. He's going to try to pull this way. Looks like Lion is... Oh! Okay, that was very close. Lion almost stopped it. Buys even more regen. Clarity and a salve. We sort of saw it earlier, but I didn't comment on it. But what that's... Uses the salve on AM. AM is the guy that needs to farm. He's pretty full health. AM being at half, I would have thought maybe that's okay to leave it and then just use Soul Rip, but they decide, okay, I'm going to use the Salve. I suppose at half health, you are getting at risk of getting like stunned and hexed by this lion. He doesn't have it, but it could be something he could do into a lot of right clicks. So maybe they feel like half health is probably too little. Or this is just a good time to salve, one or the other. I don't know. But Undying has been spending a lot on regen as opposed to more permanent items. Maybe that's just something Undyings do. I think it kind of makes sense because of the way you play with decay and heal. You don't really need a lot of items on Undying to be effective because of the way Tombstone works and your ult and decay and everything. It's not quite necessary to have too many items, and I think we're seeing that a bit where he's willing to use more money in terms of regen. He's not going to get the rune. I don't think Undying could really contest a Lion for a rune anyways. Lion would just stun the Undying. Wants to keep pulling. I'll point it out to the 4 players here who don't really necessarily play Undying. Look what Lion's doing. He's just being really annoying, constantly preventing the pull, stealing creeps as much as possible. He's not letting Undying do what he wants, which is to pull frequently. DuBu asking the AM to cut this tree for him so that he can play a little more safely. This goes back to what we talked about, where as a melee hero, if you're not treant, and even a ranged hero as well, but especially more on melee, you need these trees cut so you can run in and out of the trees. Staying over here because this is a risky time. AM could be dove at this point, and I think you need to stay nearby to prevent that by having Soul Rip ready and Decay in case they try to dive. Double Decay here? Yeah, okay. As Eustace... Was this Clarity going, or am I crazy? Oh, it was ending. Okay. So he was standing back while his Clarity was going. I mean, that makes sense, right? You don't want your Clarity canceled. You can speed up a little bit here. Thinking about pulling again. See, he's suspicious because a lion was like always here. And in fact, let's, out of curiosity. No, wait.
Are you ready to rumble?
Doesn't look like a lion had a ward here. It may have just expired. I don't know. But yeah, lion was like always here every time Undying was trying to do something, which is pretty annoying. And that's why DuBu drops a sentry, trying to see if, like, did he have a ward? Well, he pulls the whole wave this time. So this is how melee heroes. So I talked about how like the ranged hero gets like 10 hits and the melee hero is only able to get like 5 oftentimes. The way you get around that is to get right on top of the ranged hero. Now, if you try to do that in open ground, like right here, if Lion was here and you're here, and you try to just walk up to Lion, Lion's going to hit you and then back away and walk off. So what you have to do is try to catch them on the sides, either intentionally or randomly. Like it just so happens you run into them. So DuBu right here is coming toward, and to prevent this, sees Lion, and now he's like walking in a way to get right on top of him, and now he can trade evenly. If they sit there and auto attack, it's going to be like that 10 for 10, 1 for 1 auto attack trade. And if Lion tries to back away and run off, Undying can get some free hits, and then he can turn around and leave. And by the time Lion turns around, due to turn rate, he may or may not get off 1 auto attack, but at that point, it's fine for Undying. Like an even trade is good for a melee hero. They might even be able to kill Lion here. I'll decide not to. But you see how that trade went so well when Undying was able to be on top of the Lion? Okay. So he uses Decay to try to pull these away, to prevent... Maybe he wasn't sure if this Nature's Prophet was going to pull the wave, and so he tried to use Decay to pull the creeps out. If Nature's Prophet, what we saw there, he just farmed it, which the Decay does nothing to, but at least he knows it's not getting pulled. Sees that Nature's Prophet TB'd out, so there's at least going to be a bit of time. Wants to go pull. Notice Lion is here again, being really annoying. Let's see how DuBu's still going to try to pull it. It's going to force Lion to at least take a bit of damage. And he was still able to get it off. Ends up only 2 creeps, but this might actually be good for him. And then he leaves it. That's kind of interesting. I wonder why. Let's see if they're going to try to go on this Lion, maybe. Looks like it. Decide not to. Okay. I'm kind of surprised he let the Lion farm it. I would have thought he would have played aggressively. I'm like not... I'm trying to think about why. I'm not sure. Clarity up to get more mana, and then maybe they want to play aggressively on the Lion. That's my only guess as to why he let this happen. Otherwise, this seems to me like a good time to fight. And just hit the Lion. He got the raindrops again. In this game, the enemy team has a little bit an easier time popping out their the raindrop charges, but still not the best. And so I think Undying is a hero that uses mana a lot, and so the raindrops are just nice to have. They make him a little more tanky, and he gets the mana he wants. Commits Tombstone. I'm a little surprised by that. I wouldn't have thought that would have worked. I guess he was alone. I don't know where Lion is, and maybe I missed something on the minimap. But that is kind of the time you want to go play aggressively. This doesn't seem like the best positioning for it, though. The Tombstone's going to be down for quite a while now. At least you are going to get to farm these treants. That's not so bad. It's just like permanently bugged. That's funny. Replays. Okay, let's speed up a little. He has boots queued up next. Tried to heal the Tombstone so that it could die on time, but the enemy team was able to farm it. He's gonna go pull again. He's gonna have to use decay. Yep. Yeah, we'll never. I'm so curious if he's intentionally doing only part of the pulls or not. TPs to try to help, but too slow. I don't think he can do much anyways. At most, he can heal. Oh, he might die now, actually. But you can kill Lion. Ooh. Well, honestly, even if the arrow hits, I don't know if you can kill a... Okay. Works out for his team. Let's see what he chooses to do here. He's going to buy some wards. And he's going to walk out. Walk to bottom lane. Keeping an eye on what's happening mid. Now, I think this is fine. So, in my opinion, I think that AM is fine top. I don't see how he dies for quite a while. And so, I think for DuBu, it is now time to go make things happen in the bottom lane. And he is keeping an eye on what's happening mid. Because a lot of his teammates TP'd mid to fight like this. And he knows that this is where he eventually needs to be. And that he also needs to defend this tower. Circle's in here. I guess he knows that someone's in there. I think it's a bug that we can see those illusions. But I think he is saying... I think he knew that he was there anyways. Buys the tome, but unfortunately his courier's dead right now. His other support does have 6, so they don't need it. So he's just chilling down here, trying to push this lane out. I'm kind of surprised the other team is playing up here, but I mean they're getting stuff done. So maybe it's just the way the game's working out. I do see him pinging it though, and I would guess he's saying like, "Come fight this," or like, "Come take this tower." Uses Tombstone to try to push this faster. I think this makes sense because he has the catapult alive right now, and so he's trying to kill this wave off as fast as possible so that the catapult will survive a little longer. Uses the Tombstone to break some trees. This can be where people teleport and hide, so you don't know that they're here. Now, they can still teleport a little further, but if they arrive and a fight breaks out, they're going to start to get hit by the Tombstone zombies, which will give vision. So a pretty aggressive tombstone placement, but it's an aggressive play and they want to get this tower. Commits ult right away. He's trying to zone away this PL from the tombstone because they want to push. Got a lot of people chasing him. But you see he forced a response, and they even managed to get out. If they had died, I don't think it would have been the biggest deal. But he was able to get a Warlock ult out and triple rotation bottom, I think. Maybe it was only 2 people TPing and then PL walking there. But either way, still, several people came bottom. He is making space for his team while his AM is farming solo up here. Let's take a look at the net worth, actually. The enemy team is in the lead right now. In terms of the AM lane, I think that's kind of expected. Nature's Prophet plus Lion, 2 ranged heroes versus 2 melee heroes. But honestly, this isn't too bad. He's only a few hundred behind. So all things considered, decent. PL only a little bit ahead of the offlane Tiny, so also okay. This Morphling is crushing this Invoker, though. I'm pretty sure Invoker was mid, right? Maybe I totally missed that. But that's where they're struggling right now. In fact, did I miss that? Let's just double check real quick. Yellow's mid. Yeah, so they're still down here, defending bottom, getting XP where no one else wants to be. Now AM's coming down here. Stuff's happening there. I'm interested because Undying's the kind of guy that wants to fight. And it seems like there are small fights going on around the rest of the map, but DuBu is not there. So it could be that there's just like some miscommunication with the team. Maybe he wants them to be bottom. Maybe they're trying to be bottom, but the enemy team is like interrupting them in the way. But it could be he is actively choosing to stay bottom and that he prioritizes that over joining these little fights because he feels like someone in our team really needs to push bottom. I don't want to leave until someone else comes down here. And like if other people come down here, that's what I want anyway, so I'm not going to leave until we get the tower. Because he's not defending mid or top, and Undying's like decent at doing that stuff. So that's pretty interesting to me. And he's quite high level for this because he's been in the bottom lane the whole time alone. I wonder if he'll commit Tombstone again for this. Maybe he's waiting to see. Okay, he commits Tombstone once he knows that this guy's down here. Everything. So AM dying is quite unfortunate, but this is 3 people down here now. 4 people. 1 person just died. The tower's gonna survive. He is making space. Unfortunately, usually the guy you're making space for, AM, is dead. Does Tiny be able to kill PL maybe? Fine. Buys the buckler. We already talked about how PL and AM, they got lots of summons to do a lot of small damage, so I think a cheap item like that is kind of nice. Undying's also not that high armor of a hero. Doesn't have the greatest agility gain, and in fact, has something quite abysmal. I didn't realize it was that bad. Chooses to get Wand kind of early. I usually say, like, to finish out most other stuff first. Looks like he's getting it fairly fast. Are you going to kill him? I think it's just an urn, right? Or is this the full soul vessel? That's just an urn. Invoker, unfortunately, not doing too well. So I think he could have a vessel at this point if he was doing well. But in this case, he is not. We're going to kill Warlock for this. Checking high ground. I think he's placing it there because he wants to fight for this tower. So they want to make sure the enemy team doesn't have high ground vision. They managed to pick off a second kill. Checking this area for wards because they want to push this area. He saw them deward that, so he should know they have detection here. Okay, sees Lion briefly there. Sees Morphling here. Chooses to place an aggressive tombstone up here to kind of zone these people out and provide vision. Arrow unfortunately misses. It's right on top of everyone though. Let's see. Okay. What are they going to do? His team is chasing down mid. He's killing this golem. And he's walking mid. But his team is all bottom. Now he's coming back. Kill the lion. His team's starting to pull it back. They were behind in net worth, but they're getting a lot more kills. But you can see how like kills aren't everything because they're still behind in money. And it's because they're down a tower, and the other team is just farming better, I would guess. In fact, we don't have to guess. We can see their last hits. Yeah, they're farming a lot better. Wow, he is having a hard time. What are we on? We don't even need anything up right now. Actually, I guess we can have net worth up. So he got the treads now. It's kind of interesting. Let's go back to when he bought it. So it is when he's in base, deciding what to get. Buys treads. Why though? I guess you can tread swap to make your mana last longer. You are a hero that casts a lot of spells, so tread swapping helps in that regard. And when you steal a lot of strength, I guess you do have like a decent amount of damage. Maybe he's testing this out. Because I don't know. I don't feel like you necessarily need to do... Well, actually, maybe you do. Because your Invoker's having such a rough game, maybe you do need to do damage. An aggressive Tombstone to try to kill. Trying to keep his Tombstone alive. Does it. What a guy. Did he tread swap during that? Did I miss that? I wasn't paying attention. Alright. Isn't tread swapping. So maybe that idea is out the window. Or maybe that's what he meant to do and just forgot. We'll try to keep an eye on that. Otherwise, it is 10 stats. It makes you a bit tankier. Especially if you're leaving it on strength. Gives you a little bit of damage, the attack speed. Does he need damage? I guess so, because Invoker's not doing well. Trying to set up on Morphling. I don't know if they have the damage for this, though. Will they? Does he have Vessel? He does not. I don't think... Until they have Vessel, I don't think they can get these kills on Morphling. Morphling has to be sitting at, like, no health. No strength. And then they, like, start the entire fight. Buys another set of raindrops. Interesting. Maybe because he knows the major item he wants is only going to be one slot. And it's going to be quite a ways away. Maybe he wants to fill his slots with cheap items in the meantime. And just fight more. That is what cheap consumable items tend to do. They tend to help you fight early a lot. And their team would probably lose in the late game against like a Morphling PL. Plus Warlock. Plus Nature's Prophet. Plus Lion. All great late game heroes. Whereas Undying falls off a lot. The rest of them are like okay in the late game. But I would say Undying does fall off. So maybe that's why he's prioritizing these cheaper items to try to fight more. Can we skip ahead? Okay, cool. Sticking with the Ironwood tree he found earlier. Just more stats. I mean, he's a pretty tanky guy right now. He doesn't even have any decay stats, and he's sitting at 1600 health. And that's kind of tough for the enemy team to kill. easily. Perhaps that's why he got the power treads. What is this team gonna do here? Grouped up a bit. Are they looking for a fight? At this point, if I was DuBu, I would also be feeling a little lost. Like, I'm not sure what to do. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what is he trying to do? Seems like they want a group fight. So they've gotten together. AM's alone farming. Their initiators in the front. He's got wards to place as they go. They're going to kill the Nature's Prophet. All right. Are they going to continue bottom? Like Tiny goes to push the lane. Everyone else is backed up a bit. He's TPing top. I'm going to guess he's going to stack this. But that can't be why you teleport top. It was farmed, so he wasn't able to stack it. Was it just to try to push the lane out? Why did he teleport? I'll be clear. I don't have all the answers here, guys. I am watching this and trying to learn just like you guys. I guess if I look at the map, let's see who... So who could have TP'd top? Tiny is farming. So Tiny doesn't really need to teleport. Tiny's okay here. Now Invoker and AM are both people trying to farm, and they're right next to each other. The next set of camps are about to spawn, so AM could stay in this area, but then where's he going to go? Because Tiny's farming down here. And then Invoker could leave and go here, but he doesn't necessarily need all this farm. Like, AM's the guy that wants to farm. So I would say that AM should move up here, and Invoker should farm here, and then rejoin up with Tiny and keep making things happen. So that's why I'm a little confused that DuBu is TPing up here. I would have thought AM should be the one to come up here and keep these guys together. But I suppose they did just get this kill down here, and the enemy team rotated here. And so maybe his team is deciding, let's not fight where maybe we're close to items or something. No, I'm not sure. But maybe they know the enemy team rotated in, so they're just saying like, okay, let's not fight. Let's just back off. Was he TPing here just to try to stack this? Maybe he wasn't thinking about it at all, and that was just like something I am putting in there. Places a ward. Is that worth TPing to ward? They managed to get a kill on Morphling. That's nifty. Chooses the Faded Brooch over the tree. I think a bit more mana and move speed makes sense over a couple more stats. This team now gets mid. Tiny rocking it. They're going to go do Roshan. Will he commit the Tombstone? Just the ultimate. Interesting. The Tombstone's a lower cooldown. I would have thought if you commit one of them, you just, you use the Tombstone. I don't know. Okay, buys the Helm of Iron Will first. This gives him the most bang for his buck, I think. Because it does have a bit of HP regen, so it's slightly worse than the Ring of Health, but 5 HP regen, still pretty solid. And then the 5 armor gives him a lot more effective sustainability. So actually, he's at 36% physical resist right now, and then once this kicks in, up to 41%. That does not sound as good as I thought it was going to sound. But I still think, considering the enemy team has a lot of right-click damage, like I think extra armor makes his high health pool more worthwhile. Whereas you buy this vitality booster, 250 health, he could have stolen that health with decay, and I think the armor gives him more effective health. That would be why I would buy that first anyways. He's pinging this. Maybe he's saying he thinks Line is going to ward here, and he wants to defend this and fight when this happens. Preemptively drops a Tombstone here. Oh, wants the arrow, but the creeps are still alive there. A little peculiar to me. I don't know what he was thinking. Not in a bad way, like, I genuinely, I don't know. What's DuBu thinking? I would say he wants to defend this ward, even though it was about to die, and he is predicting that the enemy line is going to come up here and like, hey, I'm here, Mirana's here, Invoker's a very fast hero. He could get here pretty quickly, and maybe Tiny can get here. As like, maybe we can get a fight and pick someone off. The Tombstone, maybe it's a bait. It did send up Morphling onto the high ground. Like, Morphling did come up here. Maybe it was a bait to try to get, like, an easy arrow. But the team isn't... Well, the team is running on their way over. And they do use Mirana ult. So it looks like they were trying to fight here. Maybe this Tombstone was preemptive to get vision and to... Because he doesn't have another ward. So maybe this Tombstone was to get vision and to start slowing these two to force them to react. But then ultimately doesn't work out. Well, maybe. Maybe they'll still fight something. Yeah, but now he's missing both his ults. Or not both his ult, but two of his major team spells. The fight is going to break out. He's trying to run to his Invoker to heal him. Chasing. Morphling's on this high ground the whole time. Okay. So it kind of worked out for his team. Keep going. Taunting in front of the Golem. This is the power play. Uses a courier. Was that his own? Yeah, his own courier to check the high ground. So technically Undying can use Tombstone to spot the high ground, but, you know, pretty expensive. In terms of expensive, I mean long cooldown spell to use. So he has his courier here to check high ground for him. Sends it over here to check that high ground. Now the courier can go home, I would guess. Healing AM a little bit. Choosing to be down here rather than over here. Maybe because AM's a little weak and the enemy team could potentially get a kill on him if he's alone. And maybe also because he wants to get this. Yeah, now that you finally have a tier 2, you can steal their outpost. So maybe that's why he was staying down here instead of being somewhere else. Can they kill this? Nope. It's pretty hard to kill Morphling without the Spirit Vessel, I think. Unless Morphling is sitting at really low health and then Undying jumps him. Or, I'm sorry, the Tiny jumps him. Alright. Dive too far. Tiny's going to pay for that. Pinging up here. What's a Cliff Ward? Why? Looks like AM is pushing this high ground. I'm sorry, this top lane. And at this point, 26 minutes into the game, it's a full health tower, but it'll fall really quickly. Notice AM got this Eye of Scotty. I think that's for Morphling. And the lane's coming up. You've got AM here, Undying here, and you've got your Invoker over here. So the next fight that's going to happen is top. Plus, you know that several of them are bottom from killing Tiny and now chasing Mirana. And so I think in one of my videos, I said, like, if you're putting a ward on a high ground, it means someone's going to die. And I think that's what this is where if the enemy team rotated to top to fight, they would be in a disadvantage because you only have 3 heroes up here against their 4 heroes, and then Nature's Prophet's going to respawn and be able to TP in, and Tiny is still a long way off. Mirana not going to make it top anytime soon, especially because she might die right here. And so I think this plus the sentry helps to spot the enemy team coming in to react to this top push, to protect the 3 lives here. And if only one person happens to show up, maybe then you can kill that guy and protect this. But you at least know this will survive for a little bit because they're all bottom. And it'll hopefully save your life as you're pushing this top lane. That's my guess. Oops, are we on Undying? Here we go. I'm going to buy the Vitality Booster first. Just having more health overall to match with the armor. And I think... I don't know. I don't think he really needs health regen. Especially because he's at full health right now and because he has a heal. Seems fine to go without it. Plus he has the regen from the Helm of the Iron Will. Oh, they're going to kill Lion here. Let's go back a bit real quick. They're over here. Drops a tombstone because there's a lion and a PL, but PL is just going to back away. You see how they were able to do that due to this ward? So let's come over here. They see the PL from the ward vision, unless this is a glitch. No, but they definitely see him here. They see the lion. This is all made possible due to the ward. And they're going to kill lion right here. And so right now the enemy team is not able to go for this ward. This ward has instead helped them set up a kill and to play aggressively. Now he's going to die, but his team still feels comfortable pushing right now. They have good vision here. Ooh. Aegis expiring right now. Okay, they are going to get the Morphling kill. None of this is helping us learn play Undying because he's not here anymore, but, we're still watching the game. Taking a look at DuBu's perspective. He's keeping an eye. Oh, what is this? Infused raindrops. Did someone leave that here? Interesting. We're still seeing what DuBu's looking at, right? He's keeping an eye on the fight, so he knows what's going on. And now I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's running to the bathroom or something. TP's out to mid to get to his team faster. Has a couple more wards. Hasn't swapped them in yet, though. Ooh, I would have thought he would have swapped out the raindrops, but decides that I guess he wants to use the last raindrop charge. And start to clear out that inventory slot. Sorry, that popped up. Didn't remember, critiquing the most minor of things against a pro player, but hasn't swapped this back in, but it's easy to forget that stuff. Two of them getting a lot of kills here. So they ultimately do lose this ward, but it kind of served its purpose, right? They won that team fight, I would say. We're winding back because I'm actually... the Sunstrike into the full combo. Nice. Next to an Undying ult. I was surprised they killed Morphling, and I wanted to look at it again. And then, two of them can easily kill a lion. So they did lose this ward in that time. And using the courier again, spot high ground. Had the courier bring over more wards in the middle of that. So let's think about his positioning as they approach the high ground. They've killed Morphling, so they know they're safe for about 17 seconds, or Morphling needs to buy back, and then they still have like 3 seconds to get out. So who is up on the front lines? AM, who's pretty safe, fairly tanky with the items he has, very mobile. He can blink out very easily if this guy buys back and TP's in. Mirana, same deal. Very mobile with Force Staff and Leap. If someone TP's in, she can just get out. Initiator, standing in the back, looking for an opportunity, doesn't want to get caught out by their initiation. Invoker, long-range spellcaster, standing in the back. So, Undying doesn't need to be up front. He's not mobile. If the Morphling bought back and TP'd in, he would have to walk away slowly. So that's not the best. Then he's a frontlining hero, yeah, but he kind of still has these people already frontlining for him. And so I think he wants to stay in the back, be ready to use Soul Rip, get ready to use Tombstone, that sort of thing, safely from the back, because he has people who can frontline. So I'd be curious if we can find a game where Undying does stand in the front. And maybe Undyings just never want to stand in the front. Maybe they do want to stay in the back and be ready to use Soul Rip and all that. Even though he's a strength hero and fairly tanky overall. Kind of makes you think he's a frontliner, but maybe the way he's supposed to be played is a bit in the back. I don't play enough Undying to know. That's where I'm learning here. So far, seems like he's always in the back. Use the tome. Looks like he's got about enough gold to get the Crimson Guard. Let's slow down the team fight. We should take our time on these. So they know a big fight's coming up here. Drop the Tombstone. close, but as soon as he can. Trying to protect his tombstone. I don't know if there's that much to talk about here. Oh, that was almost a massive ravage on the entire team. Just fell short. All right. What's this team do? Tiny running bottom. Looks like he wants to try to kill that Nature's Prophet. Or just cut the wave. This team's going to easily get top tower. Looks like he's chosen to stay top. So this time he's coming up a little more forward. PL is the one that's dead for a while. So Morphling steals the tombstone, or becomes Undying, drops a tombstone in the back. A very defensive tombstone that covers all of this area, but makes it very difficult for the enemy team to walk up here to get. DuBu has now backed up. He was up here and then chose to back off. I wonder why. I wonder what he was trying to accomplish up here. Maybe he realized, like, oh, I shouldn't be here. He, like, walks up here, and then he's like... I don't know. He, like, walks up and then decides, oh, I don't want to be here. I'm going to back up again. I mean, that happens. Sometimes you forget your positioning. But maybe he was trying to ward or something. I don't know. You don't have to walk up to do that, though. Morphling is just trying to buy time or given up. But it looks like he might have just given up. I don't know. That was questionable at best. I suppose you could have... Maybe he thought he was really tanky and he could drag the team with him. You can do that with some heroes, but clearly it didn't work out there, so maybe he's just done. Finishes the Crimson Guard, but the game's over. So you see, he never really even had this item this whole game, but he was still quite impactful. Undying is a hero that just doesn't feel like he needs a lot of items to do stuff, as long as he has like the mana and a bit of tankiness to cast spells. I like cut myself off and didn't finish my own statement. All right. So against a duo ranged off lane, he spent a lot more time focused on pulls and adjusted his itemization a bit. Still got his like 3 mangoes. Good against Lion, but also maybe just something necessary on Undying is to have a lot of mana like that. Ever respectful player, DuBu says, good game, well played. DuBu makes some support videos too. You guys should check out his YouTube if you don't already. He's a much better player than I am. And he does a decent job explaining all his stuff. So, I actually don't think we have that much more to cover on this. The main thing I was looking for there is whether he played, how he played the lane, which we saw, and like I literally just said, he pulled a lot more. And I think that makes sense. It's hard to play aggressively when you're an Undying against 2 ranged heroes. In terms of itemization, he didn't get the Meteor Hammer, but that makes sense. He has team members who are excellent at hitting towers. AM, a very good tower taker. Invoker can, WWE, whatever it's called, it's currently slipping my mind. He can use that on someone to make them hit even harder. He can summon his Forge Spirits to also reduce the armor on buildings. You have Murata, who can poke away at it from range for a little bit. Although, honestly, she won't really do that. She'll kind of play a little further. Actually, we did see her at the front a little bit, so I don't know. I kind of think she should be a little further back for arrows, maybe. But this guy's ranked 20, so what do I know? Tiny, also pretty good at hitting towers if he wants to, but can also just wait in the back. So I don't think he needs the Meteor Hammer this game. These guys can also handle all the lane pushing, so... Meteor Hammer, not an item every game. Crazy. Who would have thought? But we're going to see... I already picked out the last game. We're going to head to that. He does buy Meteor Hammer there, and they lose. So I think that'll be a good way to round out this mini-series, 3 videos. So I will see you guys there.